Good afternoon. My name is Trae Stevens. I'm a partner at Founders Fund, the venture capital firm in San Francisco, and the co-founder of defense technology company Anduril Industries. At Founders Fund, we have long on our website had a manifesto whose headline is, "We wanted flying cars, and instead we got 140 characters." Scale and vision is the most important indicator of success in venture capital funds, which has led us as a fund to invest in companies as diverse as Facebook, the social media company, and SpaceX, the company that's trying to envision a world in which we're able to make humanity multiplanetary, and Flexport, which is a global freight forwarding company that's digitizing and modernizing the global supply chain. Saudi Arabia as a nation is perhaps the most venture capital-like of all nations in the way they think about national development. Everything from the line at Niam, which is beginning to reimagine what the city of the future might look like, to the Haramain high-speed railway, which is inconceivable in the United States where we haven't upgraded our rail infrastructure since the 1970s. Or another example would be King Salman Park, which is slated to be the largest urban park in the world, or Al Ula, the cultural oasis that is going to connect people back to an earlier time in human civilization. Not to mention the project of hosting, as the first Middle Eastern nation, the Asian Winter Games in Trojena, and the strong bid to host the World Expo in 2030. The kingdom is certainly not one to shy away from a challenge. As the fellow panelists in the prior session mentioned, the famous architect Daniel Burnham, who was the developer of the Flatiron building in New York City, he said, "Make no little plans." The challenge with making big plans is that it's oftentimes easier to invest in those big plans than it is to actually execute on the follow-through that's required to make those dreams into a reality. This is more true in venture capital than perhaps any other industry, where we observe something that we call the power law, which means that a single company or maybe two companies in a fund return the vast majority of all capital that flows back into the fund. In fact, in 2012, Y Combinator, the leading startup incubator in Silicon Valley, they noted that 75% of all historical returns had come from 2 out of 280 investments that they had made. This is no different for Founders Fund or any of the other top-tier venture capital firms that have been successful over the last 30 years. Saudi Arabia has been a great capital allocator, spending $250 billion in construction to this date as part of the Vision 2030 initiative, as well as forward-looking $1 trillion+ in infrastructure and capital projects that have the potential to redefine the way that we think about the future of cities and the future of governance worldwide. But there's a key not only, again, to spending time as an investor and a capital allocator, but also a critical execution piece that also relies on the partners that you pick along that journey. Note cards. أحياناً الواحد يحس أن صعب القرار في الشرق الأوسط يفهمون أهمية الطموح.
Sometimes the people, they might understand it's not easy to book what they, and same time, it's very important. And you have to understand the success. That is the quality of the people. They might
إنك تشغل مع ناس والشركات فاشلة مو بس.
نعتذر لهذا الخطأ من المصدر. نكمل. If the workers in the market, they are aware, able to understand, to build the policies, they might have to understand all their actions. United States of America is not away from criticism. We have filled our different actions. We need to understand the policies. as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, our alliance. But we are not, we have to admit that we are still behind and negatively actually doing some projects. Whatever you've been told by Chinese that you have weak plans to achieve, do not understand and do not listen. You might to understand your way through your actions. I told the Chinese that you are able to destroy our economic and spying and using unusual and this is not good, and disadvantage of using the natural resources in unusual way, in insufficient. That means that you might go to corroborate with United States of America, but we don't have to be naive that we won't understand that the Chinese government they're even they have an intention to invest with venture capital. They have to understand the culture.
Practically speaking, how do we do this? I think there are three key elements that are worth considering as you approach this grand ambition for the future. The first is growing local tech capabilities. It has not gone unnoticed that the King Abdullah Scholarships, the Human Development Resource Fund, are creating new pathways to invest in local talent, to level them up to be able to participate in these big visions. The second, the importance of working with established winners. As I said before, because of the power law, there are very few companies that are actually able to pull off the grandness of their vision. And as a result, it would be pretty unwise economically and execution-wise to invest in consulting companies and lesser talent pools to develop critical capabilities. For example, if you're building a rental sharing platform, use Airbnb. If you're building a local payments network, leverage Stripe. If you want to launch a satellite into space, use SpaceX. These capabilities already exist. Your time and money is better spent developing local applications of technology that enable you to take those technologies further rather than rebuilding things that already exist. And third, it's important to ensure your partners invest in domestic development. Philosophical alignment is as important as execution and investment, indirect foreign investment. One great example of this we've all seen walking around the FII conference this week with Lucid Motors, whose factory just opened in Jeddah. The factory will not only manufacture automobiles for the region, but it will also provide hundreds of jobs for talented Saudis to participate in the growth of the economy. And I believe that there are many such partnerships that exist and that could be explored in other sectors. In summary, there's a huge opportunity in front of us. Saudi has laid out a grand vision, perhaps the grandest vision of any modern nation, and we're excited to see where you take that in the coming years. Thank you so much for your time.